Some of the projects that I work on are more complex than others. Usually if the project value is over a certain amount and I know that the project is going to take a long time. If the client is quite time poor, then that's the sort of project that I would definitely recommend that they use a project manager. Obviously, a company like CLPM will have experts who that's what they do all day long. They love doing it and they're good at it. This was a lovely project based in the Lee, in Buckinghamshire, a detached house which had a great history. It had formerly been a pub, and it had a really interesting family history as well because previous members of the same family had lived there before. I was brought in to help them with the conundrum of how they make the house work better for them. I thought about recommending CLPM to the client on this specific project because I knew that it had its own challenges. The extension that we were proposing covered up what was arguably the prettiest elevation of the house, which was a brick and flint elevation, and we wanted to make sure that the extension echoed that and was in keeping with the original house. It was actually also in an area of outstanding natural beauty and in Greenbelt, so from a planning perspective there were a few issues that we just needed to resolve and make sure that we were happy that we could do what we wanted to do. The client was very keen to do everything in the right way and to follow a process and to make sure that they got a good outcome. They were very keen to be involved, be actively involved, but they also knew their limitations. So I felt that having the costing team was really important because it meant at the start, everything was transparent in terms of how much things were costing, and they were prepared, they had a contingency in place and they were just prepared for anything that might come up. I really like the way CLPM work in terms of their involvement with the clients from an early stage. I felt like they could really support my client through, all those different processes, from the costing, the tendering process, how do we choose the builder, how do we know it's the right builder, how do we know the quotes are like for like, and then just down to things like the nitty-gritty details of choosing the materials, making sure the builder is using exactly what I've specified, all that sort of thing. It's difficult to negotiate with the builder when you're very close to the project, and I think that's an area where CLPM can come in and, week on week, if they're monitoring the project and the costs, there's no nasty surprises down the line. So the client can be confident that they know what's been spent, as they're going through the project without having, like I say, a nasty surprise at the end. So if I met someone who was working on a project in which I thought CLPM could become involved, I think I would ask them, particularly if it was an architect or a designer, I think I would say to them, do you enjoy the role of project management? And quite often the answer is no, because in fact our strengths are designing. If it was a client and they weren't sure whether or not they needed a project manager, but they were having issues on site, or they just weren't sure about whether the builders were doing the right thing, were using the right materials, and they felt like they were losing control of the project. That's another place, obviously, where I'd suggest that they bring in a project management company such as CLPM.